right. All right. All right. Thank you very much. So I am thrilled to be here speaking with you all about my favorite subject. It's construction analytics. So I've been in analytics for, gosh, about 25 years. Most of that time has been focused on construction data. And I have had the pleasure of working with Casey Dillion, who is the president of Atlas Construction, and watching how he evaluates information to make decisions actually led me to think about the presentation today. So I was reading a Harvard study probably about a month ago, and the Harvard study was about how we make decisions. And in a world where we all have information overload, it was interesting to find that most decisions executives are making is based on 10% or less information. And if you stop and you think about that, how is that possible? How is it that we have so much information at our fingertips, but yet most executives are using less than 10% to make decisions? So I started to think, what is that other 90% made of? And as I did my research, I found that a portion of it is based on experience. Oftentimes when we make decisions, it's based on some level of experience to help us ensure that the decision-making process is going to lead to expected results. The other is intuition. And everything I'm telling you now is something that most contractors could relate to. The third one is really interesting. So just being okay with risk and uncertainty. So the very last one, I believe, is something that is embodied by many leaders today, and that's courage. So you got to have courage to make decisions when you don't have all of the information available to you. That courage is really saying, hey, I'm going to make this decision, and I believe that it's going to not have my business run off the rails, that my business is going to grow. And our goal as a construction analytics company is to provide more information so that you can make better decisions. And that's what we do at ProNovos. We essentially, whatever systems you're using, we pull data from the systems and we load it into our cloud-based data warehouse to provide better analytics, to provide application services to ensure that you have the right resources in place. Machine learning and AI, we hear a lot about that, but we actually practice it here at ProNovos. And all of this had led to something that we released not too long ago. And everything I'm telling you is not really to be a commercial about who we are and what we do. It's more of an idea around how you can change the way you are running your business to be more data-driven. I'm sure some of you are data-driven now, but what we've done is introduced an analytics marketplace so that in little to no time, you can be up and running with analytics to make decisions faster. So when I started working with Casey, I wanted to understand their journey, their technology journey. They've grown very well over the past couple of years. And so Casey, I'm kind of curious to hear you talk about your journey as it relates to adopting insight and automation and how you've increased your speed to business.
Sure. Thank you, Bruce. Can everybody hear me okay? I see a few guys with some gray hair around here, so maybe you remember like what I do back in the day when we did everything on pen and paper, and so it's like we're doing it by paper, we're doing it the hard way, okay? At some point we transitioned to an estimating software, some job costing software. You know, we're like, okay, we got to eliminate mistakes in bids. That's how we're going to get better. Amazing step and leap in technology to get here. Then we get up to, now we need a sophisticated accounting system. We want to plug into Procore. We get daily job costs. We're getting all this data to your standpoint. And then what do we do after that? We take all that data, we dump it into 1,000 spreadsheets, and we have all these Google Docs shared throughout the whole company. And like, well, it's out there someplace if you can find it. And so that's where we've been stuck. We've been stuck in this world of, we buy another one of these programs, creates an incredible amount of data, and then we start combining stuff into different spreadsheets. And it works. It's just incredibly manual, it's slow, and it's subject to mistakes. So literally, we got plugged on. So that screen before this said up and running in 48 hours. I can tell you we did that with no question. When we said go, we were up and running the next day. So they got our credentials, they got us logged in, and they basically could figure out how to export all of our data into their cloud system, and we're literally up and running. So it took us a little while to learn how to maneuver and operate, but very quickly after we were live, we're launching this out to all of our project managers, all of our estimators. Like, they need to be able to see data quicker. So as we go through some of these things, I think the next slide here, you know, what is the most important thing in contracting? Everybody's heard this saying for their whole lives, right? Cash is king, right? The number one most important things to me as a business owner is, where's my money, okay? So when I look at this dashboard, this is a company billing dashboard. Graphics might be hard to see, but on our system, we have all 8 of our project managers in here and all of their 2 to 12 jobs. And on a given month, it'll highlight green if that billing's been sent out, red if it's not, gray if it's like sent out but it's not approved yet. So in one simple place, I can see every job, is it billed or not? And I can start keeping track of, are we getting our bills sent out on time? Also in this, I can click on any one job, I get all the details, I get all the unit price stuff below it. So in any one place, I can get everything I need in a few minutes of what's going on. So the number one thing for me is, I need to know, are we getting our bills out the door? Okay, what comes next after that? What's our cash flow look like, right? This is the money graph. This is a Casey term, this is not trademarked. What I like about this graph is, the black line is your cost, the green line is cash, and the blue line is billing. Well, it's very hard for younger people we're bringing into this industry to understand the time lapse of, if an owner's taking 60 days to pay, you may be overbilled the day the billing goes out, but if they're not paying you for 60 days, we're still cash fronting this job. And so, I've been explaining this to my team for years. We make this graph, I printed these off and I showed them, like, there's how we get better. Literally in 1 month, we improved our overbilling percentage. Every job is overbuilt. Now, we're not quite positive cash on every job, but we're making a difference because they can see this data live every day when it's coming in. They can come and check it themselves. They don't have to go talk to accounting or somebody run them a reports. But this money graph, super, a lot of information because it shows the history of every billing every month, and then you can just kind of see how this flows out. Down here you can see collections. Green is collected, blue's still outstanding. And there's a graph right above this, it's not shown here, that'll show you the average days to pay by each owner. So the manager can really start understanding how long does it take them to pay it after they approve a pay estimate. And I use that as leverage. So if somebody's beating me up on a pay estimate, like, hey, you're not paying me for 2 months, you need to give me a little flexibility, be a little aggressive here by the end of the month. So just knowledge is power, and that's what I look at ProNovos for right now. Next slide. The executive dashboard, this is a great one. What I really like about this one is, number one, this sheet down at the bottom is from left to right, overbillings to underbillings. This is not live data, by the way, this is your guys' data. But you can see the jobs are doing good, you can see the jobs are doing bad, you can kind of narrow on, click on those and get more information. This screen up here talks about, and it's hard to see with the graphics right now, but it'll tell you what the average days of collection across all our jobs are and what our trending is. So if we put a big effort to reduce our collection days, we can start seeing that graph trend down, and we'll say our efforts are working. Or we try harder and it goes the wrong way, then we know we've got a problem, but I can see that where it's at. I like up here at the top, I've got my revenue by month, and I can see our trends. Every place there's an arrow, there's an expansion port, so you can get more information and drill down. So in one place, what I used to have to get 6 or 7 reports from my controller, I can do this myself from my cell phone, on my iPad, any place I want. I can get all this data live. And that's the whole power of, in my mind, the analytics is, how do we get more data to consume to people who are non-technical easier? So I've got young managers coming in, they're smart, they're intelligent, they can build a project. They don't understand this stuff. They don't have 25, 30 years of knowledge on how to manage the cash. So this analytics just helps them understand where they're at and how they're going to move through this process and how to kind of argue and negotiate with managers and owners and GCs to make sure we get enough money paid for it. Ooh, the company change order report, love this. What I love about this report just simply is blue is how much we're spending and the green line is how much we're getting paid. So very simply on a month-by-month basis, are we making money doing change orders? There's nothing like, hey, we're doing all these change orders and we're not making any money. That's a pretty simple solution there. What I also like about this is, and I was completely surprised by us, is how many number of change orders we've done year to date and what our total revenue was. Well, who's in an industry right now that's booming? Everybody's just killing it, right? And so how did we all decide when we stopped doing work? I mean, we all have our formulas and our recipes, right? Well, at some point, we kind of figured out what our workload was going to be going into last winter for this year. And then now, guess what? We have too much work. Well, we didn't get any more work than we said we wanted. What we didn't account for is we have almost $6 million in change orders this year. Well, that change order work still has to be completed. So now all of a sudden, like, oh, that's why my staff is so stressed out and we have more work to do than we can get done. We've got 600 change orders and $6 million of revenue that we weren't planning on doing in January. It's like, oh, yeah, we might need some more people. Like that, so maybe I shouldn't yell at them so much. But I love this view because to get that out of our accounting system is a change order report for all 35 jobs, and then somebody's got to add all those together. Analytics, it just pulls it all together in one place. Then I can sort this by manager. I can click on each, so these are the project managers here. I can click on it by manager. I can see what each manager's doing on their return of change orders, what the revenue of change orders are, how much money they're doing. And I can really start to feel like, oh, that's why he's super stressed out. He's done $2 million in change orders this year. I bet that's a lot of work. So just great insight to help figure out how to help manage some of our people there. I'll let you talk.
All right, thank you. No, I appreciate that, Casey. So just out of show of hands, I'm sure everyone in here, you're using some type of accounting software to manage your cost. There's been a big change in software, accounting software adoption. A lot of people that used to use Sage, they said, all right, Sage, they're not putting any more money into it. I'm going to try a different system, maybe Acumatica or Foundation. I'm just kind of curious. I love to try to understand who's using what, but has anyone heard of Foundation software in this? Is anyone using Foundation software? No. What about Sage or Acumatica? No. Sage or Acumatica? CMIC? CMIC? Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Computer Ease, yep, Computer Ease, got it. So, okay, all right, we got Computer Ease group in here, yeah. It's the same challenges with Computer Ease. We connect to that as well, is prevalent, and Foundation is prevalent in every accounting system. So going back to that 10%, even though all the data is there, it's just interesting that it's so difficult to get to, and you probably wonder why these software developers make it so hard to run. You got to run 10 different reports to get a snapshot of what's going on, and they think in terms of accounting. They want to help you track, and what we do is focus on making what's important to you bubble up to the top, so that you can act, so that you can build accordingly, and that's essentially what we do here. This is such a, we've scratched the surface regarding analytics. We haven't really talked about the predictive analytics that we focus on. A lot of this is descriptive analytics. However, I do believe that the more you focus on the data aspect of your company and you change your data culture to become a more data-driven organization, you're going to see your return on investment a lot faster. And that's essentially what we do. I know that there's been a lot of changes in terms of our schedule today. We were supposed to have 30 minutes, so we prepared for 30 minutes. But I'll open it up to any questions that you might have, me or Casey, or, yeah.
So you showed the graph where you had the Excel icon, and then it was connected to ProNovos.
Uh-huh.
So is it pulling data now from Procore straight into
The first step for us was getting foundation tied in. Okay. And so we've not started plugging other things in yet. That's on our wish list of things to start working.
Oh yeah, sure.
I was wondering where ProNovos was pulling the data from in terms of which piece of software.
So we're coming from just foundation right now.
Okay. Yeah, but typically what we find is contractors, if I go back a step here, sorry. Am I going the wrong way? So what we found is no matter what you're using these are all point solutions. They do what they do very well, but they're not meant to integrate and provide that visibility that you need so that you can have a snapshot of the organization. So we'll pull data. Your question around Procore, one of the things that we do with Procore is we'll pull the data and we'll make sure that the data that comes from your accounting system is rightly joined to your Procore data. I think there's a presentation on drone safety. So, you know, if you're basically using drones to manage or watch your jobs, that data that comes in from the drone safety would automatically be loaded somewhere where we have it, but it loads into the data warehouse. So everything's connected. And I mean, everything's always connected. We just show you how it's connected.
So to piggyback on that, your project team, managers, and site team are entering into Procore, not ProNovos, right?
This question is where are we entering the data? Right now, we have ours set up and we're fairly new to this. We just launched, July? I mean, fairly new. We're using ProNovos as data analytics only. We're not entering in there, so we're just bringing it a one-way street right now. There's more capabilities there but right now I felt like even though it's amazing for me, I got to get this pushed down to some of my team members and they're going to start seeing value and then I start layering on more features as we get more complex.
Yeah, so the question is who integrates the data? We integrate the data. If you have an IT team with capability, we can work with your IT team to basically not only do the data integration, but they can start developing applications on top of our data warehouse using our application. So we've built essentially a project management application on top of this. We built our analytics on top of this. This is getting the application implemented, training people on how to use these various applications is one aspect, but now how do you derive the information out of these point systems to make decisions, and how do you integrate it all so that decision making can be a lot easier? That's what we focus on.
Questions? We have a few more graphs, maybe.
Sir, just real quick, cost. What are cost expectations?
It depends. So basically the number of users, the different sources that you want to integrate with, and we have our director of sales. That's pretty much it, right? Yep, okay. Yeah, users and number of systems that you like to integrate with.
I can tell you, we sat there and stressed about the value of what we saw versus what we perceived the cost was going to be. And we finally got to the point he sent us a quote, we're like, oh, we're in. Like, it was a 30-second conversation. So, you know, when you look at cost spent per value of knowledge, we all buy these software packages. They're all crazy expensive. This is not a Procore price model, but great value for the product you're getting.
So the other thing that is valuable, some of the value that we add is we have a team of data scientists that they know construction. Their job is to try to provide visual analytics to help you make better decisions. Here's another example of the job cost analysis. Basically, this will tell you which customers are your best customers on the left-hand side here. It gives you everything that you need to know about the individual jobs. Casey, I don't know if there's another favorite, but have you all started using this particular dashboard?
So back to that one screen, there's what, 16 dashboards in total? And then, I can look at it and go, well, I think the managers are going to want these 3, and accounting people are going to want those 3, and then I'm going to want these 3 or 4. And so as we start divvying these up, it's like, what's the best bang for the buck to get going faster? The job cost analytics is good. There's a individual change order one that's good. The WIP analysis is obviously good. So, in our office, we make a WIP once a month. We share it with everybody, and for the next 30 days, that's gospel. Well, the reality is construction changes every day. So this is basically creating us a WIP every day if you're going to manage things that way. But it's live. It doesn't take 2 or 3 weeks after month end to get a WIP. It's live with the data, at least as we've entered it into our accounting system. Great insights here as well. Labor analysis. Oh, this is a good one. So, who's ever had a job where you move in, there's a huge problem, you slow down, you move out, and you got to move back in? Hey, I wonder why we're not done on time. The average job goes, you move in, you work forever, and then you leave. That's what it's supposed to look like. These graphs really show, hey, we had a problem and we had to leave, and this is why. So this is just a very visual thing. We actually pulled this up and shared it on one of our jobs. This is why we're not done. We couldn't work for 3 months, we couldn't be effective, and this is why we need a time extension. And it's visual data. You can see it. It's super obvious.
Where do you think putting that data in the accounting software to pull from?
So I think this is reporting labor hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So this is just labor hours coming in. So it just tracks it. So again, your accounting system will give you all that data, but imagine trying to tell somebody I want a graph that looks like that and doing it manually. Yeah. Okay, export every week, add all those up, put in a spreadsheet, then graph it, versus it's just you hit a button and it's one of the dashboards.
Yeah. I don't know if we're out of time or not.
I'd say keep going until they turn the lights off.
Okay, well, let's see.
Or everybody grab a beer who doesn't have one that's empty. Oh, this projected final cost is super awesome. This in my mind is the long term where we want to get to. Everybody's had jobs that didn't go according to plan, right? You got a couple cost codes that don't work, right? So what I love about this is after the manager's done doing their monthly cost complete schedule, we'll say, hey, we're going to go $10,000 over on this item. And then it asks why. And there's 13 or 16 boxes, I forget, of here, we missed it in the estimate, production was too slow, field conditions, but you can pick this reason of why. And so then at the end of the year, sometime in the future, now we have some data of why are we overrunning. Hey, estimators, we're losing by this much across all jobs, not just individual cost codes or individual jobs. So more of a across the whole board summation of where our problems are at, and then we can really focus on how do we fix it. I know in our company, we'll have a problem, and then we'll kind of sit down and have a root cause analysis, and we're like, well, my gut feeling says it was this. And we'll next thing you know, we're changing our whole world around that gut feeling, and then come to find out that was wrong. And we're like, we gotta have data. We gotta make decisions off of good data, and then we'll fix what's wrong. Then we'll actually get better. If we just keep chasing our tail on the wrong information, we'll just screw it up again, and we'll have another bad process. So this concept, I think, is the long-term payoff. It's just gonna take me a while to get our data entered, and then have history, and then have tracking. But I see this is a real moneymaker for us long-term, how to improve our company.
And this is where I said earlier, the application of machine learning comes in. So imagine if you have a project that runs, let's say 12 months. Every month, your project manager is going to enter a projected final cost. Typically, there are no systems in the market except ours that will allow you to select a root cause for that overrun or underrun. If you're doing better, maybe negotiated buyouts, we want to know about that. Who's the vendor? Where was the job location? We have all of that information. But say after a few months of running this and feeding the system, it begins to learn so that your next job, we can tell you, that we think you're going to run over because of these conditions. So basically the system is learning from you once you put information in. But this is, the best example of using machine learning and AI to try and overcome any overruns on a job. And we can do the same thing for schedules eventually, but in my experience, most schedules are not being adhered to, not being maintained, so we just focus on the financial aspect and the quantity and the hours aspect of production. And I think that does wrap us up. I saw that we had just a few minutes left. We'll be around, hanging around if you have any questions. I appreciate the time. Casey, thank you very much.
And one-on-one, grab me. We'll sit and chat for as long. I'm going to stay for the next drone presentation. So nice to meet everyone. Any questions? Casey Dillion with Atlas. Call me, text me, email, anytime. Happy to help the industry. So we're here to hope everyone wants to be the best. That's what we want to do, and we're here to help for any reason. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.